Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi tragically passed away at the age of 63 after a helicopter crash. This grave incident and his abrupt death signaled the end of a momentous period in Iranian politics, and this will definitely have a significant impact on the nation's future. Born on the 14th of December 1960 in Mashhad, Iran, Raisi was a leading, prominent cleric and politician. His career was very fruitful, stretching from several decades. Slowly but surely, he advanced through the ranks to become one of the republic's most influential figures. But before taking the role of president, Raisi held a number of key positions, including Chief Justice of Iran. And he was already well known for his steadfast conservative beliefs and his loyalty to the ideals of the Islamic Revolution. Raisi assumed the presidency in August 2021 following a resounding win in the national election. And while in office, he prioritized fighting corruption, advancing economic reforms, and strengthening Iran's international standing. Under Raisi's watch, Iran has gone through quite an interesting geopolitical period. The Islamic Republic's relations with the United States were tumultuous. During his presidency, the long-standing rivalry between Tehran and Washington continued. In 2021 alone, the U.S. re-established numerous sanctions on Iran's financial and energy sectors, targeting over 100 entities and individuals. And the Biden administration continued to push for and enforce more sanctions. So, Iran has seen severe restrictions, including on its central bank, hindering Tehran's abilities to access international financial markets. And in 2023, Iran was slapped with even more sanctions, this time on its drone manufacturers, as they were accused of supplying UAVs for some regional conflicts. However, despite the obstacles it had to face, the Republic simply refused to give in to U.S. pressure.
Many of the sanctions and threats were used to prevent our armed forces from enjoying the necessary advanced weapons, but our armed forces decided to equip themselves with advanced armaments and to rebuild our country's defense industries. Not only did we achieve self-sufficiency in the military sector, but we transitioned from a mere importer of other countries' arms to a producer and exporter of weapons. They thought in vain that they could stop us by imposing sanctions on us, but our armed forces have turned the sanctions and threats into opportunities, so that today the Islamic Republic of Iran produces and unveils missiles like the Fatah and drones like the Mohajer 10.
U.S. sanctions had cost Iran a fortune, billions in lost revenue, inflation rates above 40%, and a significant rise in unemployment. Raisi was an outspoken critic of U.S. policies in the Middle East, but he made sure Iran's internal affairs would see no American influence and instead stay independent despite the challenges that came with his chosen policy. Under Raisi's presidency, Iran has shown great support to the Palestinian people. He consistently condemned Israeli actions in both Gaza and the West Bank. The Islamic Republic provided remarkable political, financial, and military backing to Palestinians. The solid and unwavering support further solidified Iran's role as an essential player in the Middle East.
The bombardment must stop as soon as possible. A ceasefire must be established immediately. Humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza must be allowed as soon as possible. This gruesome crime is a crime against humanity. It's a genocide and child killing that's been committed by the Zionist regime with the support of the U.S. and some European countries.
But things got more hectic after a senior commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps was killed in Syria in an Israeli attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus. Tehran condemned the killing, calling it an act of aggression, and vowed to retaliate against those responsible. 2 weeks later, Iran launched hundreds of drones and missiles at Israel, calling it a necessary show of force and warning that it is prepared to strike much harder if its assets are attacked again. These incidents, of course, have heightened tensions across the region. Yet the continuous support for Palestine has turned Iran into a key player, as Raisi stayed consistent in his beliefs and called for Muslims to join forces against Israel.
All Islamic and neighboring states must provide security and stability for those from occupied regions. They must cut any political and economic relations with the Zionist regime and cut off all commercial ties, especially in the energy field. This must be our priority. The Islamic states must also recognize the occupying power as a terrorist entity. We call for the establishment of an international court to prosecute and punish the Zionist regime.
And yes, we have seen many more countries calling for a union against the IDF's assault on Gaza. Arabs, Africans, Muslims, all uniting against Israel, as highlighted in the ICJ court case brought by South Africa. Ebrahim Raisi made Iran a key player in the Middle East and the global South as a whole. He built and reinstated ties with many. During his presidency, Iran saw a huge development in its diplomacy. The biggest one is, of course, the Chinese-mediated détente, which has helped calm the decades-long Iranian rivalry with Saudi Arabia. Raisi also stepped up his nation's diplomacy, expanding it to other continents like Africa.
We believe that the world is not just Western countries. When we say world, we meant all the states in the world. Africa is an important continent, as America and Asia are important. In recent years, ties with Africa didn't receive proper consideration. The first goal of this trip was to enhance the strategic depth of Iran and Africa, which have fine natural resources, mines, and many talents. The second stage of this trip was about enhancing economic and commercial ties between these states.
He received a red carpet welcome in Kenya, Uganda, and Zimbabwe as he went on a first trip to Africa by an Iranian president in more than a decade, showing some new beginnings in relations with the continent. Raisi's administration also helped in developing a great deepening of ties between Iran and Russia. The two countries cooperated profoundly in various spheres, including the military and the economy. Raisi sought to fortify the strategic and vital alliance between Iran and Russia, seeing it as essential for counterbalancing Western influence and resisting pressure in the region. Under his presidency, Iran also saw itself joining the economic organization of BRICS, another important step in economic opportunities and openness to the global South.
Some say the solution to our problem lies in pleasing the U.S. or Europe. My answer to them is that we will not wait for their approval. We will not put the economy of our country and the livelihood of its people in their hands. BRICS and the SCO are proper international coalitions, and they will help in the stand against the U.S.'s hegemony. Iran's economy can be effective next to these economies. Iran is a capable country. Foreign countries are fully aware of Iran's role and geopolitical position in Asia, including its ties with the Persian Gulf and Central Asian states. Iran has specific capabilities. Hence, we perceive its presence in BRICS, the SCO, and regional coalitions as an effective presence. It is a two-way road. We will be effective for them, and they will be the same for us.
Ebrahim Raisi was a highly trusted figure in Iran, leaving behind a complex yet unforgettable footprint in the world of politics. He stayed true and dedicated to the Islamic Republic's principles, all while navigating his nation through a challenging and harsh geopolitical landscape. His passing raises some crucial questions about the country's future, and it definitely signifies an important loss for the Islamic Republic. Ebrahim Raisi's major contributions to Iranian politics and his influence on the nation's trajectory will definitely be remembered for many years to come.